Final day of the Arctic race. This is what's happened so far from Fauske to Rognan. It was Alexander Kristoff who took the win just ahead of John Degenkolb. Second day, Saint-Dejeune. Another sprint stage after a slow conversational day in the peloton, and it'd be Danny van Poppel again just edging out John Degenkolb. The mountain stage to Kjolkfjellet in horrible cold rainy weather. A day controlled by Katusha and Sky. Katusha with the attacks, Sky with the options. Breakaway eventually caught with around 6 kilometers to go. Gianni Moscon, the man to attack and pick up his first professional win at the age of 22. That gave him the leadership, trying to hold on for the final day. It's all a bit chaotic up the road. Under 5 kilometers to go now. Any panic yet amongst the sprint teams?
They can't afford to let up at all. As I said, this particular section of road is very, very fast. The kilometers will really start to tick by. That's why we're seeing a real furious pace being set on the right-hand side. The rider there flicks the elbow, taken over. We've got this group in between. These two riders in between are essentially acting as a bit of a carrot.
It will be Michael Delage leading out to Arnaud Demar from the way they are set up in Française des Jeux colours. Again, the fight for the front there. Well, are you coming or not?
The thing is, Marcus Burkhardt realised they do have enough of a gap if they continue to work together. All four of these riders are, still full of fight. They cannot afford to sit up. They've worked hard all day long. That's why Marcus Burkhardt, as you said, Rob, the most experienced riders there, is trying to galvanise the group, get everybody working together. But looking at the gap now, still got those two riders in between who never did quite make contact. There's the bunch just snaking around the roundabout before they emerge. The gap coming down, but these riders still pressing on in front.
And Marcus Burkhardt would be the man who would stand a win out of that. He's one of the fastest finishers in that group, if not the fastest, as well of all of that experience, pardon me. There's Juraj Sagan, the Slovakian national champion for Tinkoff. And this is Burkhardt again with another big turn on the front. Just behind him, ready as he flicks his arm, is the Belgian, the young Belgian, 24-year-old Floris de Tier from Topsport Vlaanderen Baloise. And there's still a lack of organisation behind here, Matt. I'm starting to think that this might be possible.
This is definitely possible now. We've seen the teams driving hard, but such is the belief, such is the strength of these four riders in front. They could hold on. If they're going to get caught, it's going to be within sight of the line. Here is the bunch still being led by the white of FDJ. Domogowski now on the front. Burkhardt just behind in the red and black. And there is the bunch just behind now.
It's still a bit chaotic in the bunch as well. No one team has been able to take over and do their thing. Française des Jeux have been trying, and here we go. Trek Segafredo not wanting to let this opportunity go. The motorbike still very, very close there and helping out the bunch very much indeed. There's Giant Alpecin as Team Sky have one rider looking after Danny van Poppel. 3 kilometers to go. The attackers are about to be caught, and I think that might be a very good ½ kilometer section of road just carried out by the peloton. I think they've got a lot of road back during that little section.
Definitely. Well, that two-man group that tried on the climb now been brought back. As you said, Giant Alpecin take the lead in the black with the red helmets there on the right-hand side. The break about to be caught, I think.
Well, it's one last little counter-attack there from Burkhardt, who's desperately trying to keep it going, but that will be that as we go 2.5 kilometers from the line. And that television motorbike might be asked a few questions afterwards by those in the breakaway, because it was right in front of the peloton, dragging them along beautifully inside the final 2.5 kilometers. The brake's gone, and we will have a bunch sprint unless there is to be an attack on that final little bit of road that rises to the line. In the meantime, it's all set up for John Degenkolb, maybe. 2 second places so far this week in both the sprints. Can he make it one better with 2 kilometers to go?
Well, Degenkolb is sat in about 5th wheel at the moment. The whole of 5 riders from the Giant Alpecin squad now take the lead. They've really stamped their authority on this race within the last 4 kilometers. 1 or 2 riders now leaving gaps. They're going to want to enter that final right-hander as the first team.
A lot of NL Jumbo, after doing a great job for the last 3 or 4 kilometers, have disappeared. A look behind there from Hofland, who has lost his teammates, really. They're a little bit further behind. Katusha coming up a little late as well at the minute. There is Andrea Guardini for Astana on the left-hand side, and he looks as though he's trying to pick the wheel of Arnaud Demar and Française des Jeux right now on the left-hand side. They're in the white jerseys. 1.5 kilometers to go, and it's a race into this right-hand turn now, Matt.
It certainly is. You can just see Danny van Poppel in the green jersey for Team Sky leading the point. points classification, fighting for position, just coming through a gap in the centre. Needs to make sure he's in the top 10 rounding this bend, and it is Giant Alpecin who round the corner in first position with John Degenkolb, I think, third or fourth wheel. Alexander Kristoff in the red is also there.
Well, a couple of riders just losing position quite dramatically as we went round that final corner. It's all straight here into the line, 1 kilometre to go. It will be a bunch sprint at the final stage of the Arctic Race of Norway. Green jersey there is Danny van Poppel. Look out for him, he's already won a stage. Also there is Alexander Kristoff in the red. In the blue you can see Danilo Napolitano, who's the Italian sprinter from Wanty Group Corbel. The Italian champion Nizzolo has picked the wheel of Kristoff. He waits behind the red jersey there in about 10th position at the minute. Third wheel you're looking at John Degenkolb, and a little further behind that Mikel Delage, the Frenchman, waits to lead out his compatriot Arnaud Demar, the winner of Milano-San Remo.
Well, it looks like Marco Haller has just swung off Kristoff there, just on the left-hand side behind the two riders from FDJ.
Well, few hundred metres to go then, and here we go. Final sprint at the Arctic Race of Norway. Hofland is in the right place, Guardini is there, and it is all the big names in this final sprint of the line. And it's going to be Francis de Jeu to lead it out. And here goes Arnaud Demar on the left-hand side. The Frenchman is there. Van Poppel going on his own on the right in the green, but it's going to be Kristoff who times his sprint of perfection. Kristoff, but Degenkolb is accelerating. Degenkolb is there. Degenkolb and Kristoff, and it is, I think, John Degenkolb who finally gets that win. All of that pain, all of that worry, all of that disaster at the start of the season. But Degenkolb is back. 2 second places early on this week. This time it's first, and the most popular win of the season right here, right now at the Arctic Race. John Degenkolb back in business, takes the win on stage 4 of the Arctic Race of Norway.
Well, what an absolutely superb win. It looked, with 10 metres to go, that Alexander Kristoff had it in the bag. Arnaud Demar pushed them very close. Here we go. Delage leads the sprint. Arnaud Demar on the right-hand side, the wind coming from the left, so sprinting to the right-hand side, forcing the other riders to move to the left. Danny van Poppel, very big acceleration on the left-hand side, but look at John Degenkolb on the wheel of Alexander Kristoff. Just moves to the left, starts moving out and around that star where he just stamps on the pedal. Kristoff here looking extremely good, but the last lunge and the throw of the bike. First victory for John Degenkolb of the season after coming so close. Second, and now first. As you said, Rob, one of the most popular wins of the season. Absolutely remarkable. Fantastic win. All smiles.
John Degenkolb almost lost his life, almost lost his finger in an awful accident at the start of the year in trading. He's been back to competition now since May, and in mid-August at the Arctic Race of Norway he has beaten one of his big rivals, Alexander Kristoff, beaten to the line by the big German. And John Degenkolb, who announced a transfer to Trek Segafredo just a few days ago, is going to at least leave Giant Alpecin with a win.
And I think with that win we'll get confirmation, Rob, that he may have moved into leading the points classification as well, because Danny van Poppel looked like he's about 6th or 7th. We'll get confirmation of that, but I think the most important thing for John Degenkolb is the victory today. Look at his face, absolutely delighted, as are his teammates. They worked tirelessly, got into that final corner in first place, teed him up to perfection. He had to deliver, and he certainly did. But it was only in the last 5 metres, as we'll see again with a slow motion replay, that victory came. Alexander Kristoff put in a superb sprint. The Degenkolb, bit of boxing here with Nizzolo. Degenkolb just on the inside, hemmed in at the moment. We thought the wind was going to play a big part, and it did. Demar launches early, Van Poppel on the left-hand side, and in the red, the centre of the squid, the Norwegian Viking Kristoff. But on the left-hand side, Degenkolb stamping on the pedals in that familiar style. He had it, he had the strength, he had the belief. He takes the victory.
A beautiful moment for John Degenkolb. Back in business and winning the final stage of the Arctic Race of Norway. Degenkolb beats Christoph in a second with Dinar in third place. Moreno Hofland finished fourth. His compatriot from Netherlands, Danny van Poppel, in fifth. Guardini sixth. August Jensen with a very good seventh for Norway. Napolitano Trusov and Van Leeberger in 10th. All the kudos, all the congratulations, the emotion belonging to John Degenkolb. That should mean he walks away with the green points jersey. And among all that, Gianni Moscon has taken his first general classification win. We'll get confirmation of the top 10 in just a moment's time. Moscon in the blue jersey, nice and safely delivered into that final 3 kilometres by his Sky team. But that last kilometre was perfectly executed, and you have to say, OK, John Degenkolb carried out and backed up the team's work, but in the final 2 to 3 kilometres, it was Jan Albertine who was the strongest and best positioned team. Well,
what they did, that they dictated the pace, they dictated how they wanted to get round that corner. They've got one of the finest lead-out trains around. And look at Degenkolb here, second wheel. Although he gets hemmed in a little bit, Danny van Poppel, because he didn't have a lead-out train, had to work quite hard to position himself. He was on the outside, overlapping the wheel in the wind for too long. That's why I think that deadened his speed. Also, very, very good lead-out from Delage for FDJ, setting up Arnaud Demar. But he went, I think, just a little bit too early. But again, they pushed the riders to the right-hand side. He came round the inside, using that slipstream for as long as he could. There's Van Poppel round the outside, a real sharp acceleration initially. And then Christoph comes down the centre. I must admit, Rob, I thought it was going to be Christoph to take the win. But now, this last moment is when Degenkolb delivered the throw of the bike. No doubt there at all. Arms aloft. First victory of the season. And I think, as you said, that'll be one of the most popular wins of the year. Good to see him back. And good to see him back winning races, which is what, of course, he's paid to do and what he loves doing.
Welcome back, John. And with the Sprinters World Championship coming up, you never know.
John, first victory of the year. How good is that?
It is, yeah, very incredible, and I'm super happy to get this victory. I mean, it feels, yeah, almost like a really big win. I mean, it's only 2 Arctic Race of Norway, but for me, this is it counts like a big classic victory, and it was a hard week, a hard day today, and I'm just super happy to get this victory. And today everything was fine, and just feels awesome.
It is a big victory. The first 3 riders are the last 3 winners of Milan-San Remo.
It's true, yeah. I mean, yeah, we are with a strong peloton here, and yeah, today was really a hard race. The peloton made it really hard, and I was expecting, yeah, less action in the bunch, but in the end it was really hard on the climb, and we had to fight also to bring the breakaway back. And yeah, this victory goes also to the whole team. I mean, the whole week the team worked really hard for it. 2 times it didn't work out perfectly, and today was just great. Thank you, guys.